Hey y'all, I'm Aeon.
And I'm the Lioness.
And you're listening to Box number 512 podcast.
Grown Black Trans Woman Talk. Changing your world one conversation at a time.
The show begins now. Welcome to another installment of Box number 512 podcast. I am your co-host, Aeon.
And I'm the Lioness.
Yes, honey. I got my Palace fan, honey.
Yes.
To spread the fan on y'all hoes.
Oh, honey. Make me get my fan. I will promote. Go ahead.
So I guess I will start with updates. So this past weekend, I went to Miami for the first time. It was my first time in Miami. And I had...
Your first time ever in life?
Yeah, it's my first time.
Oh, wow. How was it?
It was fun. It was really hot. But I really got to do all the things I wanted to do. I went to the beach on Saturday. And my whole thing was to kind of avoid the crowds. So I went to the beach because I wanted to see like the sunrise on the water and just kind of be there where it wasn't crowded. And I got there, it wasn't like a whole bunch of crowds, and I went to get some breakfast. And then I had left like at noon or 1, and that's when people were starting to come back to town, come back to the beach. And then I had dinner at the Versace Mansion. That was a really nice experience. I treated myself out to a nice dinner. I always wanted to go there. And then I went to the drag brunch at Palace. That's where I got this lovely fan. Shout out to the girls at Palace. It was mainly girls of color working the show. Shout out to the only girl's name I can remember is Fantasia Royale Gaga. She was everything. I had a really good time in Miami. I tried to have some fun in Miami, but a lot of the niggas they were playing games I was DL and I can't show my pictures, so y'all know I don't have time for that. So it was a lot of cute guys I was seeing on the ads, but they didn't. What they showed didn't necessarily match up to what they were talking, so they had to get the chop, and I had plans anyway. But I was able to get my tan and have fun. The only downside was they were talking about how a hurricane was supposed to come to Miami, so I was just praying that I got out of town before the hurricane hit. And it was raining really bad when I was leaving to go to the airport. When did I leave? I left Monday when I went to the airport on Monday. Also, I got to see one of my good girlfriends from law school. Shout out to Cassie. She was also in Miami for the weekend. So it was really nice to see her and connect with her. I hadn't seen her since she graduated. She graduated a semester before me, so it was good to see her and connect with her. But I really had a good time in Miami. I love the Latin feel of the city. It was nice to see so many sun-kissed people speaking a whole nother language and generally happy, and the vibes was good. I would definitely go back to Miami for a solo vacation or a vacation with my girlfriends. Also, shout out to Black women, because there was so many groups of Black women down there. And one thing Black women know how to do is have a good time amongst each other. And it was so good to see them down there. It was also a whole bunch of trade down there. I avoided that. Anytime I saw large groups of trade, I was like, oh, that's my cue to go. Because most of them were just roaming up and down Ocean Drive. None of them were sitting at any restaurants ordering anything. They were just walking around lurking. And just hearing them talk, the ignorant level of conversations, I'm like, oh, these are definitely not my type of people that I would want to talk to or get to know. But other than that, I had a really good time. It was really beautiful. And it was a lot of cruise ships down there. So I'm thinking about going on a cruise for my birthday. I think I want to go on a cruise, but I had a beautiful time in Miami, but I'm happy to be back. I'm not taking any vacations in July. I am planning to go spend some time in Baltimore over one of the weekends, but I'm mainly wanting to be home based in July because I got a lot of work stuff going on at work events and a lot of local stuff going on in DC now that DC is opening back up and people are being social again. I'm having a lot of professional events and legal events that are in person. So now after being here a year, I can finally get to network and meet people and get my face out there. So even though I won't be traveling, I'm happy to be being more social here in the local DC scene with the other Black attorneys or the Black and LGBTQ attorneys. So, but I am planning on traveling in August. But that's all that's going on with me, sis. What are your updates for the week? You're muted, sis.
I'm so sorry, ladies and gents. Oh my gosh, so your weekend sounded amazing. Just you talking about Miami is causing all this nostalgia to come up for me. That was the spot for spring break when I was going to college. And I was a girl that made a point to always do the spring break, even if I was with queer folk or even if I was by myself, or there was times where I have done the nude beach, and we'll talk a little about trans nudity today. But it was important for me as a trans woman to have an experience at least once. So I went to Hanover or Hallover Beach, I believe it's Hallover Beach, and I did the nude thing, and I did a skinny dip, and I ran in the water, and people, and I, even though people were looking, and some people stood up to look, I was just like, whatever. And it was just a wonderful moment. And I was young, and it was fun, and it was a moment. And I was like, it felt really refreshing as a trans woman to kind of be in that space. And we'll talk a little bit about trans nudity later, but yeah, so that was just your memory triggered all of that. So as far as my personal weekend, things went very, very good. So this was the 4th of July weekend. So here in Atlanta, they have this new shopping center called New Black Wall Street. And it's going to be in September, they're opening a building that's actually going to be, think a very, very large, all Black kind of a swap meet type of environment. And so that's going to be over by Stonecrest Mall here in Atlanta, Georgia. And so they've taken and repurposed some of the buildings down that were the shopping plazas around the mall that did not do well during COVID. And they're now making that like a street, this new Black Wall Street. So it's kind of dope. But for the 4th, they had an open air street festival. And so the 3rd and the 4th, they had a big stage, an event to just announce, I guess, to the world that the new Black Wall Street is the thing. And we were able to go out there. My next door neighbor was showcasing his barbecue. He has a catering business, and he went and he catered some food with him, and shout out to him for that. But it was a good experience. It was good to see Black people. It was good to know that they're in Atlanta, because I've always said Atlanta should really be spearheading having cultural marketplaces that just provide for us, because there's so many of us that have our own businesses here. And what would it look like if we could go someplace and keep our dollar in community? I know we've all heard the cliche, the statistics that people bandy at us, that the Black dollar doesn't circulate, that the Jewish dollar circulates so many times, the Asian dollar circulates so many times in their respective communities, but our dollars usually don't even go one time. We get our money and we immediately spend it outside of our community. So I'm glad that there's this new cultural framework existing, and it was amazing. I bought some hot sauce made by a Black grandmother. It was just a great cultural experience. It was really cool. So shout out to Atlanta and its new Black Wall Street. For those of you who are interested, they do have an online social media presence. And that's just where I'm gonna go from here on out. I'm gonna look to see what businesses they have, and I'll be going out there. I think they're gonna be doing something on the weekends until they actually open up in September, but I'm looking forward to it because this is gonna be dope. As far as I got to spend some time, shout out to my sister-in-law. She took us to dinner this weekend. We went to a Mexican restaurant. It was not too far from that actual area of Stonecrest. For those of you who don't know, you can kind of guess I live out somewhere Lithonia area. And we had a good time. It was a good conversation. She's a really entertaining lady. I enjoyed her. I enjoyed her that night. So my weekend was pretty good. Now this morning, I will be transparent. I did have a miscommunication or a fight with a really good friend. And it's a guy friend of mine. And, it's really weird because I have to like remember that in conversations with guys, not to turn off some of what I know is my triggers. Like, because I'm aware that when men are disagree, there's always a level of aggression that you just have to manage. And I know that the person that I was arguing with wasn't being aggressive towards me, but rather having frustration. And I realized that because I'm a person that goes out of my way to be supportive to people, that sometimes when I do address things, because I'm always the motivator, the rah-rah, the call when you're down, the person you can confide in, particularly for my male friends, they have an issue sometimes when I'm addressing something that bothers me, because ultimately the idea that I have my own thoughts and feelings don't occur, particularly to men sometimes, particularly cis het men when they're engaging with women. So to my cis het men listeners out there, if you have the privilege of having a woman as a friend, remember that she is not just, I'm not your wife. I'm not here to be your undying love and support. I'm a friend, and so then I can critique my friends, because that's the kind of friendships that I have, and I don't mean any harm by it. A lot of times when women speak up for themselves, you're told, oh, well, you're being aggressive or passive aggressive. And me actually saying how I feel is not passive aggressive. That's actually very direct. And but we had the miscommunication, and again, I do believe that a breakdown is not a breakup, that a breakdown can be a breakthrough, because I hope that through this conversation there's a greater understanding on at least my communication style and what I will tolerate and expect. So shout out to my friends who may be listening. Love you down. um, Other than that, I briefly spoke to my mother for the 4th. She was in good spirits. My dad was in good spirits. That's always a great thing. I got to talk to my brother. So, I talked to the people that mattered, and it was a good time. So yeah. Oh, now this morning, I will say I was thrown off because the president of Haiti was assassinated last night. And when I heard that this morning, I don't know why that jarred me. I kind of am a student of the world politics as well. And I know that there was going to be a handoff, I think, next week for him to hand off power to another president. I know that there was some of the population was upset with him, but apparently the people that attacked him included an American, well, someone that sounded like a Southern American. They were speaking French and Spanish, and there's evidence. You can see the video footage online of the people in the compound, and one of the men says DEA. This is the DEA, but I think that everyone's thinking that guy was trying to accuse America, like he was planted to accuse, but he was a white man speaking with a Southern accent, a very pronounced Southern accent. And it just goes to show, like, we don't know all that's going behind the scenes in politics, but as Black people, we should be concerned, particularly about Haiti, who until this moment has been the poorest nation in Western Hemisphere, largely due to racism and debts that they owe for their freedom. And so I just don't want us to forget Haiti. Let's keep them in our prayers. They just did lose their president, and this has put them into a little bit of turmoil. So that kind of jarred me this morning, and I'm praying. I'm gonna have prayers for all of my Haitian brothers and sisters that may be listening, and those that are on the island. I know that Dominican Republic has cut all ties with them, and that's a really big trade partner at this point. Even though DR is notoriously racist towards Haiti, I it's really a bad situation, because I know that a lot of Haiti's GDP is through trading with the DR. And so just to know that they cut their borders, that puts them in a crisis. So prayers to people in Haiti right now. Yes.
So let's do some housekeeping before we get into our topics for today.
Oh, can I say one more thing? My son also came over and brought me my fan. So he manages Imani Van Zap, an online social media personality that you guys should follow on TikTok, on Instagram, and also the one of the faces of Chasing Reality. she has this brand and it's called Become, and you should see on TikTok she has these cute little videos that go along with it. But shout out to Imani Van Sapp. Your manager sent me the fan, and I thank you. Thank you.
So gotta do some housekeeping. So we are in the month of July, and our book for our summer book club for the month of July is Wild Seed by Octavia E. Butler. Right now, I'm on page 64, so that means I have a lot to finish reading before Saturday, before our book club talk back on Saturday. But make sure you have your books. Make sure you're reading. It's very scientific-y. It's a lot of body hopping and transformation and sailing on the middle pass. It's a lot going on, and I'm only on page 64. But make sure you guys are reading this book. We will be discussing this book this Saturday, July the 10th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. You will only be able to see it if you are a level 3 patron on our Patreon page for $10. So make sure you go over there. Also, make sure that if you're watching that you're live tweeting the live discussion. If you have questions that you want us to ask, make sure you write a comment on our social media or send us an email. And we're just going to have a discussion about this book and about how we feel and just certain things that have come up. So, and thank you all for supporting our book club. We made our live discussion from last month of Revelations. We made that into an episode, so you're able to hear us hear our thoughts and reactions to the book. And we are definitely going to do that again for this month for Wild Seed. So definitely wanted to promote that. And then we are in the new month of July, so we have to give a shout out to our patrons for the month of July. So shout out to Martina, Camille, Sade, Lee, Ann, Tamara, Ashley, Quinn, Angelo, Alexandra, Mateo, Jada, Keita, Safari, Mutaba, T with Queen and J, Marique, B. Lynn, All About D, Abby, Sean, Preston, Maddie, Oyen, Carrie, La, Devin, Kevin, and Reggie. Thank you guys for being our patrons for the month of July. We are so appreciative of the support that you show us from month to month. We appreciate all of the comments that you leave on the videos and just the different reactions that you have to things that we talk about. We read every comment. We respond to every comment. So thank you guys for watching us and financially supporting our program. We're growing. We're entering into new endeavors each and every. Thank you for listening to another episode of Box Number 512 Podcast, Grown Black Trans Women Talk.
And don't forget to become a patron on the Box Number 512 Patreon page, where we have all new exclusive content.
And also, don't forget to follow us on our social media, on our Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook pages. And also, become a subscriber on our YouTube page. Until next time, bye.